Guys, I need y'all to watch this course. I'll be sending it to you in a bit.
Welcome to McKesson's Occupational Safety Training for Delivery Professionals. Most of the training you have received in the past is focused on defensive driving. This training focuses on the potential hazards you may face when you arrive at your customer's location. You are normally working alone most of the day, and every location you visit is different. Because of this, it is important that you are constantly aware of your environment and be on the lookout for the potential hazards that may present themselves. Welcome to McKesson's Occupational Safety Training for Delivery Professionals. Most of the training you have received in the past is focused on defensive driving. This training focuses on the potential hazards you may face when you arrive at your customer's location. You are normally working alone most of the day, and every location you visit is different. Because of this, it is important that you are constantly aware of your environment and be on the lookout for the potential hazards that may present themselves. In this course, we will be covering many of the potential hazards and requirements that you may face, which include slip and fall hazards, lifting, use of hand trucks and hand jacks, forklifts, and injury reporting. Walking is such a common activity that most of us pay little attention to potential hazards. Putting a little more thought into getting where you're going could significantly reduce your chance of having a slip and fall. Take the time to pay attention to the more common fall hazards, such as loose, irregular surfaces like gravel and tree roots, sloped, uneven terrain, or potholes on sidewalks and parking lots, sidewalks and curb drops, wet contamination spills on smooth floors or surfaces such as water, mud, food, grease, oil, or other fluids, dry contamination, making surfaces slippery such as dusts, powders, granules, wood, lint, and plastic wrappings, weather hazards, rain, sleet, ice, snow, hail, and frost, ramps and gangplanks without skid slip-resistant surfaces, slick metal surfaces such as dock boards and dock plates, uncovered cables, wires, or extension cords across aisles or pathways, clutter and other obstacles in aisles, walkways and work areas, and stairs and ladders. There are also conditions and situations that make it difficult to see potential hazards or that distract your attention. These include poor lighting, glare, shadows, excessive noise or temperature, inattentive walking, distractions, using cell phone, texting, emailing, or use of handheld devices, talking and not watching where you're going, taking shortcuts, not using walkways or designated cleared pathways, backing up and not looking where you're going, and being in a hurry, rushing around, moving too fast for safe practices in work environment. Let's review. Which of the following situations might make seeing potential slip and fall hazards difficult? A. Taking shortcuts, not using designated walkways. B. Inattentive walking while using a cell phone. C. Poor lighting. Or D. All of the above. That's correct. The right answer is D. It is easy to prevent most falls. All you have to do is follow a couple of simple pieces of advice. Because you visit many different locations, it is important to take your time and pay attention to where you are going. Conditions are going to vary at each location. Adjust your stride to a pace that is suitable for walking surfaces and the tasks you are doing. Make wide turns at corners. Walk with the feet pointed slightly outward and Wear footwear appropriate to the environment and weather conditions. Something as simple as entering and exiting a van or truck has resulted in drivers being injured. The following suggestions can help reduce the potential of slipping and falling. Before you even start to get into your vehicle, eyeball the footholds or steps. Make sure they're not dirty or greasy. In winter, check that they're free of ice or snow. Stepping on slick surfaces could cause you to slip and fall. Place items in the vehicle before you enter so you have your hands free. Use the 3-point stance. Have at least 3 points of contact between you and the vehicle at all times. Enter using both hands and 1 foot, or both feet and 1 hand. For example, enter the cab with 1 foot on the ground and 1 on the truck's foothold or lowest step. Establish the 3rd point of contact with a firm grip on the handhold of the cab frame exterior. When you have 1 foot on the top step, place your other foot on that same step or on the truck's floorboard. Continue to grip at least 1 handhold to maintain 3 points of contact until you have placed both feet on the truck's floorboard. Once you are safe and securely inside the cab, you can release the handhold. Exit a truck cab by climbing out backwards, as if you were using a ladder. Again, have 3 points of contact at all times. Never jump out of the cab or off the back of the truck. Make sure that you look at the surface of the parking areas so you can make sure that you will step in a spot that is stable so you do not twist your ankle or fall. Pay attention to overhead obstacles inside the vehicle such as shelves, visors, lights, mirrors to avoid bumping your head as you enter or exit. Let's review. A 3-point stance when entering and exiting the vehicle means to enter the cab with 1 foot on the ground, 1 on the truck's foothold or lowest step, and a firm grip on the handhold on the cab frame exterior. B, 1 foot on the lowest step, 1 hand on the wheel, and 1 hand holding a package. Or C, answer A and B. The correct answer is A. Strains, sprains, and overexertion are one of the biggest injury exposures for drivers. Despite all the helpful equipment available to move materials from place to place, there will always be situations when you use your body, hands, arms, back, and legs to move things around the workplace. In this part of the training, you will learn about back safety and proper lifting. There are days when you will be required to do a lot of lifting. If not done correctly, even simple lifts can lead to back injuries. The following are guidelines to keep in mind the next time you have to lift an object. Stretching and warming up your muscles before lifting can be very beneficial in avoiding an overexertion injury. Plan your lift. Know where you're going and that the way is clear. Plan a safe place to put the object. Test the weight of the object before lifting. If the load is too heavy, get a fellow worker to help or break the load down into smaller quantities if possible. Use your legs, not your back. Stand close to the load, bend at the knees, and lift straight up. Let your legs do the work. Keep the load close to your chest after lifting. Don't turn or twist your body after making the lift. Pivot your feet in the direction of travel. And use the same procedures for setting the load down. Bend at the knees and lower the object straight to the ground. Avoid overreaching while carrying or setting a load down, which can result from holding a load too far away from your body. Also, use your hands to brace against the vehicle, shelf, etc., to help support your body weight when reaching. If after testing you feel that the weight of a load may be too heavy, A, find a fellow worker to help you. B, make sure to have a firmer grip with both hands. C, break the load down into smaller quantities. Or D, both A and C. The correct answer is D, both A and C. If you need to move the item before you pick it up or after you set it down, push and slide the object instead of pulling it whenever possible. Avoid handling materials multiple times. If necessary, place objects near waist height rather than on the ground, so you don't need to bend down when rehandling them. Many back injuries are a result of lifting heavy or awkward loads. They can sometimes be prevented simply by using a hand truck. There is no hard and fast rule on when to use hand trucks, but using good judgment should tell you when a load is too heavy or cumbersome to lift manually. It is important that you choose the right hand truck for the job. Make sure that it is the right size and designed to handle the load. With that in mind, always think about loading and operating the hand truck safely. Two-wheeled hand trucks look easy to handle, but it's just as easy to lose the load and injure yourself or someone else if you don't keep safety in mind when loading any hand truck. Follow proper lifting techniques to place the load on the hand truck. Place the heaviest objects on the bottom. Position the load to rest on the axle so the weight will be carried by the truck and not the handles. Keep horizontally positioned handles at about hip height. Make sure the load will not slip, shift, or fall. This may require securing it to the truck. Hand trucks are designed for pushing, not pulling. Move forward, not backward with the hand truck, and push unless you are going upstairs or up a slope. If you are going down a slope, keep the load in front of you. If you're going up, keep it behind you. This will prevent the load from running over you. Make sure you can see over the load. Watch your fingers when in tight areas, such as when going through a doorway or down a hallway.
Guys,
when possible,
make sure you're looking at
position
this
your
video,
hands so
please.
that they are inside the framework of the hand truck. And back posture is always important when lifting, carrying, pushing, or pulling. Just because you are using a material handling aid does not mean that you aren't putting pressure on your back. Hand pallet jacks seem to be simple devices and do not appear to require training. However, they do have inherent hazards. Never exceed the rated capacity of the hand pallet truck and always distribute the loads evenly over the width and length of the forks. Inspect the pallet to make sure it is not broken. Never pick up a load with only one fork or try to position the load with only the fork tips. As always, maintain proper back posture when maneuvering the pallet jack. Keep your back comfortably straight. Keep the load under control. Pallet jacks can be difficult to use on slopes, particularly when the load is heavy. If you're going down a slope, keep the load in front of you. If you're going up, keep it behind you. This will keep the load from running over you. Pallet jacks are also designed for smooth surfaces. They are difficult to push or pull on uneven surfaces or in areas that have debris, such as small pieces of wood from broken pallets or pebbles. Never put your hands or feet under or between the pallet jack frame assembly. Let's review. Pallet jacks can be difficult to use when A. on a slope, B. when a pallet is broken, C. when the road surface is rough, or D. all of the above. The correct answer is D. all of the above.
I'm talking in this video to make sure y'all actually.
Many of the locations you
this
go
video,
to will
so
have powered industrial
look at the whole
trucks.
thing, they know I'm
These
talking.
powered industrial trucks include forklifts, electric pallet jacks, and electric tuggers. You are not qualified nor authorized to drive a powered industrial truck at a customer location, even if you have completed McKesson's forklift operator's training and received your certification card. If you need to move something with a powered industrial truck, contact local management and they will have one of their qualified operators move the item. While the controls on the forklift may look somewhat like those in your car, a forklift does not drive like a car. Forklifts do not turn or stop like a car either. As a forklift turns, the rear wheels do the steering. If you are walking near a forklift making a turn, watch out for the back of the vehicle coming around. As a pedestrian, don't walk in front of a forklift and expect it to stop rapidly. It can. And if it is carrying a load, the load may tumble forward. By looking at it, you can see that a forklift has limited visibility forward. If you see one moving forward, assume the operator can't see you and act accordingly. Don't approach a forklift until the operator indicates that it is safe to do so. Do not assume that he or she can see you. Always listen for the forklift's horn or backup alarm, and watch for the forklift's warning lights. Pay particular attention to the sights and sounds of forklift warnings when going around corners and when approaching blind intersections. Local management will identify the local traffic flow and where congested areas are likely to occur. Be cautious. In a confrontation with a forklift, you will lose. If you sustain a work-related injury or are involved in an accident while at work, report it immediately to your local management. They will instruct you on further actions to take. If your injury requires off-site care, they will give you information on designated medical providers or instruct you to go to an emergency room. Let's review. A work-related injury or accident should be reported first to local management before further actions are taken to ensure you receive the best method of care. A, true. B, false.
True.
The correct answer is A, true. You may be injured at work and not realize until later that you need medical care. In this case, there are two options. If you realize you need care and it's during work hours, call your local management. They will provide you information on designated medical providers or instruct you on where to go. By doing this, you will ensure that you see a provider who knows your business and accepts our workers' compensation payments. If you need immediate care, or if it is at a time when contacting the company is not possible, go to any nearby urgent care or emergency room for treatment. As soon as possible, on the next workday, contact local management for further instructions. Hazard Communication, or HAZCOM, is a program intended to make people aware of the hazard of the chemical products they handle in the workplace. It is also sometimes referred to as the Right to Know program. There are two pieces of information that manufacturers provide to help us know what we need in order to protect ourselves: the safety data sheet and the warning label. The Safety Data Sheet, or SDS, is the primary source of information provided about the product. It is a fact sheet that includes essential information about the chemical product. Every SDS must contain the same essential information. Look at this SDS. You can see that at the top, it has the identifying product information. It contains the product identifier used on the label, manufacturer's name, and emergency phone numbers. This section provides information on the hazardous ingredients in the product, including the classification of all the ingredients. It may also show the hazard symbols found on the label. Normally, the concentration or percentages of chemical mixtures will also be indicated. Here in Section 4, you will find first aid measures and follow-on treatment when that may be needed. Section 5 contains firefighting measures. You will not be expected to fight fires, but you will be expected to sound an appropriate alarm and evacuate. Section 6 of the SDS provides important information you will need in case you have accidental exposure or a spill. It covers specific response procedures, protective equipment, and methods and materials for containment and cleaning up. Section 7 contains handling and storage information. If you must handle this product in such a way that you would be exposed to it directly, the STS provides information on the recommended personal protective equipment here in Section 8. Sections 9, 10, 11, and 12 contain more detailed technical information on the hazards of the product. Section 13 covers properly disposing of a chemical. This is important after cleaning up a hazardous chemical spill. The final sections contain regulatory information. A list of all the chemicals that you will find in the workplace is always available to you, and the SDS sheet for each chemical are available to you at any time. If you have forgotten how to locate this information, contact local management who will advise you. The SDS is not the only source of information about the products in your workplace. Labels affixed to each container will give you a condensed version of the information from the SDS. The label will include product identifier, a signal word, hazard statement, pictogram, precautionary statement, and manufacturer's name, address, and phone number. Signal words are used to indicate the relative level of severity of the hazard and alert you to a potential hazard on the label. The signal words used are danger and warning. Danger is used for the more severe hazards, while warning is used for the less severe. Pictograms on labels are intended to convey specific information about the hazards of a chemical. 9 pictograms are listed to denote hazard category of the product. Each label pictogram will be a diamond with a red border and white background around the symbols and represent distinct hazards. For health hazards, carcinogen, mutagenicity, reproductive toxicity, respiratory sensitizer, target organ toxicity, and aspiration toxicity. For flame, flammables, pyrophorics, self-heating, emits flammable gas, self-reactives, and organic peroxides. For corrosion, skin corrosion, burns, eye damage, and corrosive to metals. For skull and crossbones, acute toxicity, which may be fatal or toxic. Details on the label system and pictograms can be found on the McKesson Environmental Health and Safety website. If you ever find a container unlabeled, notify a manager immediately. Spills. Leaking or spilled products could be hazardous, particularly in enclosed areas or areas with poor ventilation. If you encounter a leaking container that results in product getting on your clothes and skin, you should immediately wash with soap and water. If the product has splashed into your eyes, it is important to keep your eyes in the stream of the eye wash for a minimum of 15 minutes. If you do not know where they are, local management will show you the locations of safety showers and eye washes. Unless you are designated and trained to clean up hazardous material spills, stay away from any spills or leaking containers. Report any that you encounter immediately to management. They will advise you on further actions. Let's review. The Hazard Communications Program makes workers aware of A. the hazards of computer viruses, B. the hazards of using cell phones, C. the hazards of the chemical products they use, or D. all workplace hazards. The answer is C. the hazards of the chemical products they use. In this training, we covered slips and fall hazards, entering and exiting your vehicle, lifting, use hand trucks and hand jacks, injury reporting, emergency procedures, forklifts, and hazard communication. You are normally working alone most of the day. It is always important that you understand safety procedures and requirements before you visit any location. If you have any questions about what was covered here or any other safety matter, ask local management. By now, you should realize that safety is more than just a word. It's a core value of McKesson Corporation. It is part of what we do each and every day.